Okay, we're on to our next round of local jurisdictions. And we've got some women, which is great. Break up this dude fest. We're going to change the order around slightly due to we're running a little bit late, and so there was a scheduling issue. So Cynthia Hogan, who's the chair of the St. John's Hospital Board, is going to go first, and then Dave Adams, and then Kate Mead and Chris. Welcome. In the interest of expanding the idea of one community spanning 2 states and 3 counties, we're super fortunate to have the chair of the Teton County, Idaho School Board with us as well this year.
Hi, everyone. It's wonderful to be here, even though we're last. We appreciate it, and thank you again. I'm Chris Isaacson. I'm from Teton District 401 in Idaho, and it's a wonderful opportunity, and I thank Jonathan for allowing us to be able to come here and share our good news today. Before we start, just a couple of things that I wanted to share that are informational with you. We're a pre-K-12 school district. Our pre-K is specifically special education, and we do have some integration of non-special ed kids within that program. We have 3 K-3 elementary schools, one in Victor, one in Driggs, and one in Tetonia. We have 1 upper elementary school, which is 4-5, and then we have our middle school and our high school. We do have an alternative ed school also for students who do not find that the high school environment is as conducive to their learning as needs to be, and so there's an alternative approach. Those children aren't there every day or all day, so they come and go. We have about 12% special education in our district. Our Hispanic population is 28%. We have free and reduced lunches that are 38 to 40%. And our total budget, looking at our state funds and our federal programs and other programs, is about $8 million plus. We have about, as any school district would, about 80% of their budget. Our budget is for salaries and benefits for our staff. We've got about 111 teachers, counselors, support staff of 105, and we have 8 administrators. Adding to that is our superintendent, Monty Woolstenhume. Our mission in our district is to provide a safe and exceptional learning environment where career and college readiness are the cornerstones of a relevant and progressive education. And our vision is something that we keep in front of us all the time, and that is empowering our students to reach their full potential. What's our current kind of temperature or our in our jurisdiction? Right now, it's celebration and growth and achievement. As was shared with you by both of our mayors, we just passed a $37+ million school construction bond. That's a lot for our small valley. And we passed that at 80% of our valley supporting us. That is a very large change from about 4 years ago when I wasn't on the board. This is my 3rd year being on the board. And it did not pass. And one of the things that I heard from the people who were giving us feedback about that was, well, we can change what the outside of our buildings look like. What's going to happen differently on the inside of our buildings? And so that, to me, having been an educator for 40 years, said we really need to look at what's going on in our schools. We need to know where we are, get that baseline. Then we need to know where it is we want to go. And through our strategic plan, which we developed called A Blueprint for Success, we then will develop that path. And that path will keep us going in the direction that we want to go at all times, especially in a tumultuous environment that we live in. The best thing to do is to have that blueprint so we know where we're going and how we're going to get there. Now, that also means that it's a continuous improvement process so that we're analyzing and looking at that all the time and developing it on a yearly basis, changing what we need to, etc. So that has been extremely important to get us to where we are today. But getting back to the bond and how that materialized, one of the other things that we realized and we heard from our community was that there was a lack of trust in our school system and in our school board. And so we needed to work on building that trust. So one of the things that we decided to do, and it was a year-long process that we were involved in the bond issue, is we developed focus groups. Bob Gamlin, who lives in Alta, was our consultant and helped facilitate those groups. Those were community groups where we had from our agriculture to our community to our business, etc., come to individual focus groups with specific questions that were asked of them to get feedback as to our school district and also what they wanted to see if we did go forward with another bond. And predominantly our bond was going to focus in our elementary schools because our middle school and high school aren't that old. But our elementary schools, Victor Elementary School was built in 1941. So it was also built more as a secondary structure than for an elementary. Our elementary young kids really haven't been in a structure that was built for them. So this is exciting that we're going to be doing this. So we asked the outside stakeholders, and then we talked to our inside. Well, we did talk to them first because they really were the most important. And in so doing, got feedback as to what it is our community wanted to see. And through this process of listening, but also taking what they said and actually implementing it and working toward it, I think was very beneficial for our community to see. They wanted a long-term fix. They didn't want us to come back for Band-Aids and do a Band-Aid fix. They wanted to make sure that what we did was really well thought through and that it would make a fix for many, many years to come. They didn't want us to come back to them again in a few years and say, oh, yeah, but. They also wanted us to make sure that we were utilizing the money in the appropriate way. So we did all of those things. We put out a lot of information to the community through our bond website. That is at tsd401bond.org. If you want to look at it, it will show you everything that we did to be able to facilitate the wonderful things that occurred for our district. So those are the things that happened and how we got there. One of the main things that we started, Brian McDermott is here, and he, along with our Teton Valley Education Foundation and the district, bonded together and collaborated on developing Eggs in Education. And that was a community and district group that got together to talk about education, et cetera, in our community. From that, we developed input for our strategic plan. We also had about 8 working sessions for our strategic plan that anybody could come to give input. And our strategic plan, especially the student achievement part, was developed out of that. Just a little bit about some of the wonderful things that are going on in our school district, because many times people aren't aware of that. One of the things that was pointed out is that we had a 96.7 graduation rate. which was the highest in the state. The state's average was like about 76%. Another thing that occurred for us is that our senior class were awarded scholarships of about $3 million plus dollars, and also about 85% of our students could show that they were going on to higher education by what we had said. We have programs such as our voice program, our National Honor Society, robotics, United Nations program, international studies that we travel to China and Europe, senior projects where they must take on some very interesting topic that hasn't been solved within the world. We have winter sports programs that we have been doing for 40 years with Targi. We have our elementary Teutonia Garden School where everything is focused around the gardening. We began our dual language program, K-1 now, and it will follow us through 12th grade. And also we have our Expedition Yellowstone. So there's so many really excellent things that are going on in our school district that not people are aware of. And so what we want to do is get that good news out. We want to continue our values in terms of transparency and collaboration and communication with all that are involved with the school district and in our community. We appreciate the support that we have received through our community, especially from those historical agricultural families within our valley who came forth to support us also. So those are some of the kinds of things that we want to do along with professional development and use our data within what we're doing to increase our student achievement and to move forward in what we do. So I could go on more, but I'm seeing a wrap up. So I thank you very much for having the opportunity to be able to share the good news of what's happening in Teton District 401, the paradigm shift that's going on in our community. And I would say that it is a very great day in Teton Valley, Idaho. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Mead, Ms. Isaacson, football, the future of football for both of you.
Oh.
Is that presently being discussed? Thank you.
It seems to be there, and we have not had discussions about anything leaving us or going away in terms of it. So that's the only information I can give you right now. We've been more focused on bonds and student achievement and those kind of things, although I would say 74% or 75% of the kids that the seniors and the students in our high school are involved in extracurricular activities. And so when you look at how they're achieving and those who aren't participating in extracurricular activities, you can see a definite boost for those who are. So in terms of football, it's one of those extracurricular things at this particular time.
I have to commend Teton County, Idaho, in reducing their suicide rate down to an acceptable level.
Thank you so much. One of the programs that we have instituted in our high school is called Voice, and it is supported or was supported by the Teton Education Valley Foundation. And what it does is every freshman that comes into school is paired with another student, junior, senior, and therefore, and they work on the students feeling comfortable, knowing that they have somebody that they can go to. And this program has done wonders in terms of changing that dynamic. I think it has had a big impact on that, and the students love it to the point where the seniors one year who hadn't been involved in the Voice program went to the Voice person who supports it and said, "Why can't we have it? We need it." So it's an excellent program for that. Our superintendent also has been extremely involved in suicide prevention and in groups within the state and giving information, etc. So there's been a lot in terms of that going on within our district. Thank you.
And with that, we will wrap up this session. I just want to point out that, as I noted before, one of the blessings of living in this region is the quality of the people who are heading up our public agencies. And not only are you guys heading them up, but you're all volunteers. So thank you very much, and would you please give a round of applause for our panelists.